You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro speaking company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. The IFCO, Chiro Moguls, Chiro Health USA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Hey docs, let me ask you something. Are you adjusting patients but not adjusting your revenue? Because a lot of chiropractors are still undercharging without even realizing it. They're accepting insurance allowances that are just too low. And they're hesitant to raise the fees because they're worried about pushback from patients. The problem is, when your fees and financial systems aren't aligned, it creates a slow leak in your practice. And when you try to grow, more marketing, more patients, maybe even another location, the leak gets bigger. There's actually a smarter way to handle this. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately when insurance is available while still serving cash or limited benefit patients through a compliant discount medical plan. The results? Many practices see revenue increases around 15 to 20% without adding more visits. Same patients, better margins, more freedom. If you want to stop leaving money on the table and build a practice that's both profitable and compliant, check out chirohealthusa.com to learn more.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 793 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Neil Cohen. If you want to hear our conversation about transformation for the world and the profession, about checking and adjusting and setting people free, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have a great friend of mine, Neil Cohen. I don't know where he is. I think he's coming from Florida today. But this is episode 793, and I think we're going to have a dynamic conversation today. Neil has 40 years experience as a chiropractor, family of chiropractors. The legacy of the adjustment lives on through him. And he was the executive vice president at Sherman College of Chiropractic for, I believe, around a decade. So we're going to talk about life after Sherman. And he wants to accomplish on today's call with us, or the podcast, is the transformation of the world and the profession, leaving a mark and remembering that life isn't transactional, it's transformational. So with that, I'm going to give you our quick introduction, and then we'll get this one going. Why do we do what we do at Chiro Hustle? First things first, we protect freedom of speech. It's very important for chiropractic. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things. If you need help with any of that, reach out to a chiropractor in your area. They'll help you out. They'll guide you and your family. We protect BJ Palmer Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go to the show notes, click on Sacred Trust, and you'll learn more about chiropractic than you did previously. I guarantee you. You could even be practicing for 40 years and still have to go read that document to find out why we do what we do. We also believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say that. It's really redundant, but they're taking it out of the language of the schools and the education, and a lot of chiropractic students and future chiropractors are absolutely lost. So if you know a chiropractic student or a young DC that's practiced and graduated in the past 10 years, please share the show with them, guide them to chirohustle.com, share the website with them so they can start getting their philosophy from the show. We also believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and the educated intelligence. I know these are some of Dr. Neil's favorite topics because he loves philosophy. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, which creates the educated. And with that, this is episode 793. Dr. Neil, welcome to the show.
Jim, thanks for the honor of being on. I'm just excited and happy to be here.
Well, I know that we've had an episode before. I should have done my homework before today's show and then had the exact day, but it's been a handful of years, and it's been too long.
I agree.
40 years as a chiropractor. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's a cool because I love this quote by Mark Twain. It says the two most important days in your life, the day you're born and the day you find out why. And chiropractic is really fits in to that quote in my life, because 40 years of purpose, 40 years of direction, 40 years of understanding that God has given me gifts and I could utilize those gifts. And by extension, people are helped, people are transformed, lives are transformed, minds are transformed. And what more could you ask for? People are searching, they're searching to be beautiful, they're searching to be smart, they're searching to be rich. But to me, those are all things that fade. But the legacy that we can leave when we have the purpose of sharing a great message, that's lasting. So that's what 40 years means to me.
Yeah, I think, one of my good friends I've gotten to know over the past several years is he does mission trips, Peter Morgan, and they don't have a word for chiropractic down in Haiti, and they call them the touch healers. And I think that that's something to always remember for this profession is we call it chiropractic, but really it's a transformational effect that happens in somebody's life. And is somebody better off throughout the journey of their life subluxated or unsubluxated? And really that's the philosophy of chiropractic. Is somebody better at any age of their life when you talk about a time well spent? Like, is a time well spent better chiropractically adjusted or subluxated? And I think that that's the real philosophy of what you just said.
Yeah, well, Reggie Gold, I think he said it best when he would share the message with new patients. He would, tell them about the subluxation and how it really affected the world. And, obviously patients want to go back to how they feel and so on and so forth. So, if a patient would say, am I going to feel better? Reggie would say, well, how the hell do I know? And he would go on to let them know that, listen, we're going to go ahead and adjust you. We're going to correct those subluxations. And if you don't feel any better, you just let me know and I'll put them back where they were before. Meaning that what you just said, we're much better off unsubluxated than subluxated. So I think that the goal, and when people come into the office, has been skewed by the allopathic brainwashing that we've all been exposed to our entire life, thinking that health is about how you feel. And chiropractors have this incredible task of helping people understand it's really about how they heal, how they express life. And those two things, they have circles that touch one another, but they don't cover one another. They might overlap in certain areas, but chiropractors need to be able to communicate the message of chiropractic, and they need to do it in many different ways so people can understand we are different. And I think that's the bottom line. And Reggie was so good at that communication.
Well, transitioning into this message that you just shared, the medical system that chiropractic was never a part of, and it still is not, wanted chiropractic to make sense to them. And it didn't ever make sense to them because the way that chiropractic is communicated isn't in line with the way the medical system communicates. Because when you go to a medical provider, you say, I have this symptom, give me something for it. And the chiropractor says, hey, by the way, we don't cure anything. We just find it, we adjust it, and your body does the adapting and the healing. And that's outside the paradigm of Western medicine. So they said to the chiropractor, hey, by the way, you're not going to get, if you're going to play in our game and you're going to be a part of our system and you want reimbursements, you're going to have to call it a manipulation, and you're going to have to code out for something you don't do. And I think that was like the first, like, step into the wrong direction to try to make it make sense to the common person, that there's going to come in and they're going to have some miracle adjustment and that's their treatment. And I think that what you said is the body heals from above down, inside out. It doesn't need anything extra in it. It simply needs no interference. Once that happens, the body self-regulates and self-heals. That's what Reggie Gold would say. And I think that that's the premise of what BJ would say. So now we're in 2026 and I hear Dr. Neil Cohen saying the same thing.
Well, principles don't change. The body heals itself. People have been robbed of that belief. That's the first thing. And medicine has really robbed them of that belief, because how many times have you heard, oh, I have a great doctor, he does so much for me, never really recognizing the doctor within, never recognizing the power of creation and recreation that we have just by the fact that we have life in our body. I think chiropractic is about empowerment. We empower people to understand that they have everything they need to be healthy. And when there's interference there, we come in and remove that interference. We do nothing to heal them. All we do is remove interference and allow nature, God, universal intelligence, innate intelligence, whatever you want to, give it the name, to do what it needs to do. And as a weed can go through the sidewalk, a person could heal. That weed only grows through the sidewalk because of that crack. So there's no interference and allows the weed to grow. We remove the interference. So I love empowering people with the knowledge that they have everything. I love telling people how powerful the nervous system is and finding examples of sharing that with them. I love telling people that chiropractic is really more about life than it is about health. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is, yes, we are in the health care industry, but health is literally a subset of life. In order for us to have even bad health, you need to be alive. And so life is really the primary thing that we have, and we deliver through removing the vertebral subluxation, but health is what ensues. So health is actually the subset. That's the result. And here's the thing. That's why Reggie said what he said to this particular person who asked, when will I feel better? He said, I don't know. And Reggie said, well, if you don't feel any better, I'll put your subluxations back where they were. The key is that our goal is to correct the subluxation. We don't promise anything but to correct the subluxation. The human potential is what ensues from that. And some people have more potential than others. Some people can adapt better than others. I mean, if many years ago, I had heard, about somebody dying and then they wanted to be checked and adjusted. And, you think to yourself, well, why would they want that? And the answer is because they wanted to die clear. There's nothing wrong with dying clear. And that's what the chiropractic adjustment offers, getting connected, getting clear, and allowing your body to work at the highest level. So the problem, and I know I'm going on about this, but I wanted to catch on something that you said before, is chiropractors fell into the trap of trying to connect with allopathy when it didn't really have a connection, other than the fact that in both categories, people are coming in with problems. But chiropractic, we have to ask ourselves this question, and we have to ask it today: where have we failed, or where are we failing? because we have this great thing and not enough people know about it. And I'm going to put that on our responsibility. It's our responsibility to get the correct message out there. But what's happening is we have a counterfeit message that's going out there. We have a counterfeit chiropractic that is invaded. And I'm going to say this because I can say this, and I know it's true, have invaded the educational system in our chiropractic colleges, which often many of them are no longer being called chiropractic colleges. They're being called life science universities. And right there, should be the yellow flag that says to you, well, why did they change their name? If Jim Chester doesn't change his name to something else, we have an identity. We have to own our identity. We have to be able to identify ourselves so we can juxtapose it next to what we are not. And we are not a life science university. We are a chiropractic profession. We profess chiropractic. We have chiropractic colleges. And I got to tell you, we are not setting ourselves up for success if we're going to try to please man rather than please God.
Something that I want to impress upon people of what you just said. Have you ever seen the image of the elephant with its leg chained to a chair?
Yes.
And that's how I feel about chiropractic being inside of the medical system. Is chiropractic is chained to the chair of the allopathic model. And it's been that way for a long time. And if chiropractors just knew how powerful that they were and how strong they were, they are the elephant in the room when it comes to being a practitioner that's educated and that actually gets people results. And I think that that's a big part of today's conversation we can talk about too, is results and effectiveness and utilization. And I really believe at the core of this, the reason that chiropractic is still alive after 130 plus years is because it gets people results. And whether, we want to put the subluxations back like Reggie, people don't want that. What they want is chiropractors to do the one thing that they can do that nobody else can do. And they want the adjustment. They just don't know that it's from chiropractic. And from my work of doing 800 spinal screenings and scheduling almost 12,000 new patients in the past decade, everybody's looking for chiropractic, guys. They just don't know it's called chiropractic. And they've tried everything under the sun to effectively give them what chiropractic has, but they've been told that it's somewhere else. It's like hide and seek. It's like, we're going to hide chiropractic over here when it's the best thing for you, but we're not going to tell you that. We're going to guide you in this other direction, and you got to find it for yourself. And that's why probably in your lifetime, Neil, a patient will come in and say, why didn't anybody ever tell me about this? Like, I've been to everybody and you're the first person to tell me this. And you're right. Earlier on, you said we have to do a better job of like sharing the message and telling the story. But the people are definitely, they're desperate right now. They've been desperate since I've been in the profession for 17 years. Once again, they just don't know what they're looking for.
Agreed. I think humanity is desperate. Humanity is desperate for connection, whether it's emotional connection or physical connection. And one of the things about chiropractic, when it's done purely, it's really about relationships. I've done mission trips where I didn't speak the language, and you're really just connecting with people. You're finding their subluxations and correcting them, and there's real gratitude and appreciation there. That's what chiropractic looks like. But what's happened, and it is a business, so we have to understand the business aspect of it. But it's my opinion that we have a lot of weak chiropractors out there. And when I say weak, they're weak in communication. They're weak in their understanding of the profoundness of what chiropractic has to offer. They're weak in their desire to stand out from the crowd rather than fit in. That's a more comfortable experience. And so they're looking for things to do that in their little world will get them what they would consider success. And really, success is about changing lives. It's about transforming lives, and as many as you can. And in order to do that, you have to share the truth. You have to let people know that their body can heal itself. You have to let them know that the nervous system is responsible for their entire life, their whole human experience. You have to let them know about the devastating effects of subluxation, and that we are the only ones that really can correct that. We're the only ones that actually address that. That's what they're looking for. But what we have is we have a lot of people, and it's not necessarily their fault because the schools have to train you. You know, I got the fire when I went to Life College in the 80s. Dr. Sid was amazing. He really showed us that we could change the world. But, you had to really buy it. You had to buy the fact that chiropractic was what it was and what it is. And for some reason, God gave it to me. He planted that seed deep, and it changed my life. And that's where the life purpose, the life direction comes in. So I'm really, I'm admonishing this profession to get with the program and stop fighting with one another about who's right and who's wrong. We're all wrong. We're all wrong, but we all have to go through our journey and figure out what that is. I want to see people flourish. I want to see the best come out. You used the word adapt when you opened up this show. It's about adapting to a world that's very difficult to adapt to. I have noticed personally that since 2020 and all the craziness, there's a lot of mental health going on. People are losing their minds. Like I've never seen before. There is this division, this I'm right, you're wrong stuff. We got to stop it. We're all human beings. It's okay to disagree with people. It's all right. It's okay to stand up for what you believe in. But the hatred, the vitriol, the negativity is not okay. God told us in the scripture, he said, love others this is what Christ said. He said, love others as I have loved you. Okay. You don't have to like anybody. There's a lot of people you don't have to like, but you have to love them. And that's really the difference. And we walk around not liking anything. And if we don't like it, we don't love it. You know what? There's a lot of people I don't like, but I love on them because I know God is moving in their heart, and I'm in their life for a reason. And I'm not in their life to piss them off. I'm in their life to bring them to an understanding about how great not only God is, but chiropractic. And I think that's our mission.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro speaking company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. The IFCO, Chiro Moguls, Chiro Health USA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. There's a lot of truth when you share, and that's one of the reasons I love this show and why the tagline is learning from the greats. And there's a lot that you said there about conviction and faith and the profession. And once again, I like to put us outside of, I go around as speaker all around the world, as you know, Neil, and I let chiropractors know that I think that they're endangered species. Like we're at like a critical time in the profession where we have to save the profession. And I ask often, if you're the last chiropractor on planet Earth, would the profession survive? And I then ask them, in 100 years from now, will they remember you? If not, you have work to do. And it sounds like a call to arms. And like I'm a general and I'm saying, hey guys, we have to get stronger together. Like, talk to your friend here, share numbers with each other, make a new friend. Because then I say, here's the real story. If I were to put a chiropractic team on the field right now to go win, would we win? Or would you guys play as individuals and not have any team spirit? And I said, that's really where we're at today, is you guys need to look at yourself as a team that's not winning. And you need to train harder as a team, because that's what it's going to take to win. If you guys are a small number of practitioners, you have to come together as a winning team. Otherwise, you're going to be individuals the way you are right now, sitting at these tables. You're going to go home as individuals. But you can change that right now, and you can make a friend, or you can make 5 friends, and you can start communicating with your friends that you're here with that don't know that you want to be their friend, that you should start building a community with, because that's why you're here. You're here not to be a solo practitioner anymore, in my opinion. You're here to connect with this community. And if we want to talk God, that's real fellowship. And when we congregate for these events that you love to go to, that I love to go to, we have to build connections and new friends. One of the other things I do is I make everybody get up from their seats and go to a new seat and meet somebody new and make a friend over that weekend, because that's really how this is done. Sometimes you have to force the hand and you have to say, hey, by the way, it's not up to you today. It's my hour that I'm here speaking to you. Everybody get up, go sit next to somebody you don't know. And that's how we're going to move forward. But you have to think about us as we need to put a winning team out there, and we're not winning right now. They're running the score up on us. They're coming into the schools, like you said. They're infiltrating the systems and the teams. They're changing the identity from inside out. And people come out of school, and what I hear from the practitioners is, these kids don't know how to adjust. They don't know philosophy. Well, it's because I also tell them, you guys need to bring somebody to this event with you. Bring a young chiropractor to this event, because we need the young leader sitting in these seats next to you. Otherwise, they don't know why they should show up, because they're not listening to guys like me telling them the chiropractic story. They're wondering why they can't pay their bills, but you need to bring them here so that they can get connected to this community. If not, they're going to fail 1 and 2 after 5 years of practice. And I kind of had like this wake up sober talk to the chiropractic world, but I think it's essential. Otherwise, after another 20 or 30 years, the identity is going to keep drifting, and this sacred trust that we talk about protecting is harder and harder to find, and it's harder and harder to support because people aren't talking about it. And if you want to remove anything from history, remove it from the history books. And if you want to remove the message of chiropractic, remove it from the education. And that's what you're talking about, Neil. And I know I took up a lot of time there sharing that message, but I thought it was very timely with what you shared, is that we need to create a damn winning team.
Yeah, well, we need a strategic plan. And I think we've needed that for a long time. We really don't have a plan. We just sort of, through spontaneity, we make decisions in this profession. And the evidence of that is when things are hitting the fan, everybody says, oh my gosh, they're bringing drugs into this state, or oh my gosh, they're changing the law in that state. We need people. No, that's not how it works. In leadership, you have to have a plan. And not only do you have a plan A, but you have a plan B and a plan C. So when the stuff hits the fan, you're ready to make the move. When COVID hit, we weren't ready. That could have been one of the greatest things that happened to our profession, because we work intimately with the nervous system, which is part of the immune system. And yet we scrambled. And as you well know, it's historical now. The offices that stayed open, they got busier. People lacked connection, and they needed that connection. So we weren't ready. So leadership is huge. The second thing is learning how to communicate. We must learn how to communicate the message in a way that's not necessarily offensive, but prompts people to think within themselves. They have to say, like they say, wow, how come nobody ever told me this? That's one of the ways that we get to change the world. But we don't have a strategy to do that. So it sort of happens spontaneously. The third thing is building relationships. How do we build relationships with communities that may be far away from our thinking? There are ways to do that. But instead, we throw up our hands and say, oh, they're not worth it. They don't think like us. Nobody thinks like us. We have to find ways to communicate and to share. You've done that with your programs. I want to do that more and more. I've noticed, and one of the reasons I got into the whole coaching thing, it wasn't something that was my first choice. But as I start to do this more and more, I start to realize the need that people have. And these are people that may have been in practice for a long time. They don't understand leadership. They don't understand communication. They don't understand the staff and how to deal with the staff and what it takes to build a culture within their practice. And then you talked about something wonderful, which is the fellowship. We need to seek outside fellowship. When you become an island in chiropractic, it's a problem. And when you justify it, it's a real problem. Too many chiropractors are in their own, doing their own thing. Just leave me alone. I don't want to be a part of this. We need our iron sharpens iron, and we need one another. And I know that I need fellowship because I'm not as sharp as I know I want to be. So I have people in my life that I listen to, that I talk to. My son is amazing, a young man, but man, does he sharpen me. I just came back from DE. Wow, my sword got sharpened. I'm going to be going to Sherman next week. I want to get sharp, and I want to hang around with people that are going to help me do a better job and help this profession to thrive.
The message is strong, and that's another point that I want to share with you is the median age of a chiropractor right now is 55. And you're right. We need the fellowship in these DE rooms, because if you go and look around, the young kids aren't, I haven't been there as much as you have, but I'm just going to say in most of the groups I go to, the young kids aren't there. So we need to get this past 20 years of chiropractors to start getting involved in these leadership roles. So where the strategic plan has a future leader to carry it out. And that's another, big void in the profession is if you're fired up and you want to go get sharp and you want to go to DE and you want to go to Sherman Lyceum and you want to be around New Beginnings and these philosophical based organizations, the kids are going to Parker. Okay. And the kids are going to the Florida chiropractic event, and the kids are going to, not saying that any of these other groups are less, but they're going to Tim Young's event, Focus. They're going to Paul Reed's event. They're going to Danny Knowles' event. They were going to Billy DeMoss's event. Like, we need to get the kids going to the state associations. That's the boring places, in my opinion. But those are the ones that when you say when things hit the fan, those are the groups that actually go out there and protect the sacred trust. And they save the chiropractor from the board complaints. So we need leaderships to start showing up in those rooms more than the philosophy, in my opinion, because we need leaders to start leading every state. And we need them to come together. This past 20 years of graduates, we need them to come together to where they are successful and leading the next generation. Because what you've done over 40 years is quite impressive, Neil.
Well, praise God for that. What I wanted to say is I wanted to make sure that this point was clear. And you mentioned 4 groups there. You mentioned Tim Young, you mentioned Billy, you mentioned Paul, and you mentioned New Beginnings. Those are
and Danny.
Those are really important, because I'll tell you why. Because they draw in the future leaders. You sometimes you can't just jump to the state association groups and want leaders. Leadership has to be cultivated within an individual. Most people don't even, most chiropractors don't see themselves as leaders, but they all are leaders. But we have different kinds of leaders. We have leaders from the front. We have leaders from the side. We have leaders from the middle. Billy is a great example of a middle leader. He's so charismatic. He gets the profession moving. Tim Young, he stands out front and really says, follow me. I know what I'm talking about. And he does. You got New Beginnings, which Jim Dubell, one of the finest men I've ever met in chiropractic, he sort of leads from the side. He's a quiet guy, but he brings people in. And Paul Reed, I don't know as well, but I think he's also a front leader, and I think he's doing some amazing things. I'd like to get to know Paul better. And I've actually been to his event out there in Vancouver, Washington, and I think it was great. So those things are important. They're sort of the entry level to the leaders, because I started at DE. If you ever told me back then that I would be the executive vice president or the senior vice president of a chiropractic college, I would have laughed in your face. I would have said, you're crazy. But at the end of the day, those are the things that we need to get us to that point. And yes, I agree with you that we do need more leaders, but people are reticent to be leaders if they don't see themselves as leaders right off the get-go. And that's what I try to explain to the clients that I have, is that you're leading a business, you're leading an office, you're leading people, you're leading a family, and you have to accept that. It's a difficult role to accept. We'd rather let somebody else lead us. But at the end of the day, you're right. We need leadership in this profession. We need communication that's solid in this profession. We need to know who we are, what we believe, why we believe it, and then be able to share it with the world. That's what we need to do.
You're spot on. My speaking coach, Roberto Monaco, will always tell me,
my man. I love Roberto.
My boy. He always loves to jump on calls. Yeah. What's up, my boy?
Yeah. I love him.
And he always tells me, if we don't tell them the truth about chiropractic, someone else will make up one about us.
There you go.
And I think that's really strong as a closing remark, but I do want to give you the opportunity to talk to the chiropractic students, because I feel like that was a missing component in our conversation today. We talked about leadership. We talked about career. We talked about fellowship. We talked about God, but I know you had, I think it was around a decade at Sherman, and I just want you to leave us with a message for the chiropractic students.
So, yeah, when you're a student in chiropractic college, you have one goal, and that goal is to graduate. Sometimes that goal gets in the way of the reason that you went to chiropractic college for, or the reason you chose this phenomenal profession. It's a very educated, it's a very grueling, I know I'm talking about Sherman. I don't know about any other schools. I can't talk about any other school, but Sherman is an amazing place. I still send students to Sherman College. I support their curriculum. I support their clinical experience. Their faculty and their staff are amazing. But what happens as a student is you get really inundated with the stress of having to pass classes and get to the graduation ceremony. And in that, you can lose yourself. And I want students to understand that they should not lose themselves. Keep your eye on the prize always, but always maintain the understanding that God has put you in that position for you to transform lives in the future. The people that you haven't even met yet, their lives are going to change. And the way that you're going to do that is learn how to communicate, learn how to develop relationships, learn how to be good stewards of your finances. That's another thing that people in chiropractic and even practitioners are very poor at. A lot of chiropractors die broke, and that's crazy. The other thing that you need to do, and I'm going to say this, is you need to go on mission trips. Mission trips are important because what they do is they show you what chiropractic really looks like. Checking, adjusting, and then setting people free. That's all you're really doing. When you get into practice, per se, in your town, in your state, it's not checking and adjusting and setting them free. You've got a staff to run. You've got bills to pay. You've got people that you got to collect money from. It's a different world. But you need to know what chiropractic should look like. So in your mind's eye, you have the vision of what the ideal look for your practice is, which is checking, adjusting, and setting people free. Let somebody else collect the money. Let somebody else do all that other stuff. That's your job. So that would be my exhortation to students is hang in there and keep chiropractic. Don't fall for the garbage. Don't fall for the counterfeit. Don't fall for the easy money or the shiny object. Learn how to check, learn how to adjust, and learn how to set people free.
I love that message, Neil. It's so important that people hear it coming from you. I can say it all I want, but that's why we have this podcast, is because I believe that I never wanted this show to be about me. I always wanted it to be about the person that had passion for sharing their message about something that they loved. And by proxy, I became a little important because of my consistency. And hosting is something that a lot of people can't do well. So I said, well, this is my superpower, my gift. I'm going to continuously do this. So I appreciate you sharing with me today. And if you guys want to go see real chiropractic messaging, I have over 750 published podcasts over at chirohustle.com. There's 2 documentaries that I've produced that are over there you can download for free. And I just think that people need to get this message. And in the future, Neil, I'm going to do a third chiropractic movie called Adjust the World. And it will be about missions, and it will be about adjusting people without the exchange of money, without insurance involved, and maybe not even speaking the same language. And it's the power of the adjustment. And if we do that, honestly, we can adjust the world. But you're right. If we get stuck in the minutia and we get stuck in the business and managing employees and chasing shiny objects, we might not know how to find chiropractic. So go out there, get everybody checked, get everyone adjusted, and set everyone free. Dr. Neil, if people want to work with you, where do we send them to?
They can go to abovedownsuccesscoaching.com. We've got a website there, and you'll get to know a lot about me. And I don't work with everybody. If you're a good fit, we can work together. And really, that's how I do it. I don't have contracts. I'm just all about wanting to help people and really get them to the next level, finding out who they are. So check that out if that's of interest to you. Set up a discovery call with me, and we'll spend some time on the phone and figure out if we're a good fit. I've also got my second book coming out, Jim. It's not out yet, but it's called Walking Ancient Paths, Living Centered in God's Wisdom. It's a commentary on the book of Proverbs, and really just full of wisdom from the Bible and really how we apply that to our life. I'm very excited about my second book. My first book was a big hit, A Hope Without End. And that was a 33-day devotional that showed the indivisibility between God healing the body and using chiropractic to help that happen. So it's really what I'm about. It's what I love. It's my jam. And I'm looking forward to getting to know some new people. So that's what I'm about.
Well, Dr. Neil, I think that anybody that takes the opportunity to get a discovery call with you is going to win, whether they move forward with coaching or not. And they get a new friend in their life and can maybe get some fellowship and possibly a prayer. And I think that those things are really important for people. And what you said at the beginning, before we went live, you said, I'm not transactional, I'm transformational. And I think that we've accomplished that today. So I want to thank you for being episode 793 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast.
Awesome. I'm proud to be episode 793. That's an awesome number, man. I love it.
Well, for everybody out there, I close out the show like I always do. I tell everybody, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.